parnormalxl podcast. I'm Gigi, and with me for always is Mama Mary. This week's topic is about something I know Mama is really into, so I hope you are all prepared to gain some knowledge on astrology.
Oh,
Yay, how excited are you?
excited. I live and breathe astrology. There's not a day that goes by that I'm not studying astrology to see how my day is going to go, or, you know, what I can manifest and what I can create and how I want to be and where I want to go. Like, literally, astrology is God's map that he's created for each person, because each person has an individual chart. And, you know, I've always felt like if we could connect more with, you know, what's in our chart and what's going on energetically from the planets around us, we could finally find that missing link to where we want to be and what our soul purpose is. Mm-hmm. You know, there's meaning to everything, and if we could follow that map, our world would be completely different.
Sure.
You know,
Sure.
well, we would understand why, you know, we go through certain relationship patterns, or, you know, why you keep on having the same kind of lesson, because it's karmic. Because, you know, it's based on your chart where, you know, certain planets line. Sometimes this lifetime you're going to be dealing with more karma versus, you know, actual just creating new things. Or sometimes there's no karma and you're just creating new lessons for yourself. Right. It's a really fascinating, and it's very ancient. I mean, it goes back to like 500 BC, where, you know, at one point in time, astrology and astronomy were considered the same thing until the Christian religion took over, and then it was kind of deemed evil versus being more of a pagan, you know, type thing, where they used to use it to divine, you know, for divination, whether it was for the pharaohs and what was in their future. But when Christians took over, it was then considered evil. So astronomy and astrology split apart. So if you were to ask an astronomer, don't you talk about those astrologers, because they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Mm-hmm. That's a touchy subject.
I did research a lot of that and saw a lot of that. Now, it was back in the day, because my research led me to that it was dated back to minimum of the second millennium BCE. And is that it's used for calendar purposes, predicting seasonal shifts, and being able to comprehend the celestial cycles of science of divine communication, which essentially that's what we do here at PXL.
Yeah.
Am I right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
And back when it first started, it was equivalent and held up there. If you knew astrology, it's the next thing to being a doctor.
It was, yes.
Or an astrologist.
Because they even had like ranked medical astrology. There's all sorts of types of astrology, and so many purposes you can use it for. Relationships, where you can line up charts to see if you're compatible, your sign where it is, and, you know, each sign coexists with a god or goddess, and they're all connected.
Hey baby, what's your sign?
I mean, it connects with Greek mythology, and, you know, every society has their own take on it, but it's all basically the same. And back then they realized that they all had their own take, and it was, you know, basically the same, just their own different story. I mean, there's real meaning to that, and we can go really deep or just keep it minimal. So we'll see how the podcast goes, but there's lots of different theories about the planets and what they represent and who they represent and why sometimes planets in your own sign can really affect you in certain ways, or, you know, why if Mars all of a sudden is going to be conjunct with the sun, which actually it is today and tomorrow, and if it's in your sign, how that could make you more fiery and energetic and, you know, wanting to take action and be more powerful. Where like Mercury, if it's in your sign and it's hitting today, then you know why you're more chatty than normal. You'd be really surprised if you learn the idea of astrology and place it in your everyday life. You can see where it plays out. And sometimes if you're somebody who loses your shit and you know it's going to be one of those days.
We don't ever lose our shit.
Oh, I lose my shit.
She does not.
But
she doesn't lose it when she should. I'm just... And there. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, but, you know, kind of gaining that knowledge, you're able to ground yourself versus reacting to some situations, because you're like, okay, I get it. You're an idiot.
I've definitely learned that within the past year and a half. My blood pressure was getting out of control, and it was because of my emotion or my reaction to people doing
around
stupid
you,
shit.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, what? I don't care. Like,
well, too, when people can make you feel that way, then they've got power over you. So why not find something and utilize something that can give your power back to you, that God wants you to have? He's given you this power, so use it. You know, it's where it's at. Astrology is everything. That this is our world map. Just most people aren't awakened enough to see it. But I can run somebody's chart and I can see why they're learning some kind of lessons and why they're doing certain things and why they behave that way. And sometimes it's not necessarily good behavior, but they could fix it.
Yes.
When you have an understanding of it. So.
It is very fascinating. Where I want to word this question. Where do you think it all came from?
You know, I honestly, well, I could go like,
we're doing aliens.
We were probably going to do aliens. You want me to go there?
You can a little bit. That's going to be like probably a month-long thing. I want to wait to do the whole alien thing. But
I've always said, just like when I did my past life reading, the lady told me, you were placed here. There's a lot of people that are placed here. You don't run into them very often, but they're the ones who get that bigger meaning. And the planets represent alien beings. Like if you watch certain shows and you do the research, you'll always hear, in the mythology, 9 beings coming down to the planet, 9 gods and goddesses. Okay. What if they really weren't gods and goddesses per se, but they were planets that could use their energy to impact the world around them? And what's happening is they give these people the information based on the energy of their planet, that celestial being. Right. You use that energy and then you find out the answers of how to utilize that energy, know it's coming, and know it's can be created. Like Pluto's playing like a really big part. It just went, off a retrograde. It's,
got moving Gatorade. Sorry.
Well, it's moving forward and it's going to conjunct with Saturn. We've never seen ever at this moment Saturn conjunct with Pluto. Pluto's a fairly new planet. Right. But like literally right now, energetically, where we're at is the same planetary alignments as when we went through the Salem witch trials. That's why you're seeing everybody being shaken up and, those witch hunts, especially in politics. That's where you're seeing it being played out. People at each other. It's because it'll be very interesting to see how the next couple of weeks, especially the next 14 days, play out. Because the full moon's Sunday, the 13th. Yep.
And
it's going to be a really powerful full moon. And shit's about to hit the fan. People's lies are going to come out in the open. Things that people have been trying to hide, those are going to come out in the open. The ones who aren't walking in integrity, they're going to be seen for what they are. I can guarantee out there somebody's going to hear my words and listen to it and go, yes. Conflict at work, conflict at home, it's all going to...
Can you tell me what's going to happen to me?
No, you'll have to do your own astrology.
Oh my God, no.
Shit. But, it's fascinating. And there's not a day that doesn't go by that I don't get up in the morning and I study astrology in some shape or form. Like the Leo King, love him. He knows his shit. He swears a lot, but I like it.
That's our kind of king.
Yeah. And the Peace Dealer, he's another good one to watch. A little bit, for somebody who's a skeptic, listening to him talk, you're kind of like, oh my God, these people are weird. But I see it because I see it all around me and I see it in my own energy and how far I've come in my spirituality and how close I get to the real spiritual truth of everything, that they know what they're talking about.
Sure.
And why not? Who doesn't want to strive to be better every day? That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to reach our soul purpose and be better. Everybody has superhuman, supernatural gifts. Why not figure out what those are and use them? That's what astrology is all about.
Totally agree with you. I just want to know if it came from aliens.
Yeah, it did. That's how I feel.
Super fascinating. I do it, and I can't wait to dig in more when I have the time to do so, because that is something that I've always been interested in.
I think there is a God. There's God's source. Universal whole, whatever you want to call it. But I really do feel like those planets are our alien beings. And if we just tap into those energies and channel that energy, we can accomplish anything. We can get whatever we want. My whole life has changed in the last 2 months by just listening to astrology and tapping into that energy and actually gaining the understanding of the deeper meaning of it.
Right.
And like everything's manifested exactly the way I've always wanted it to be. So there's something to that.
Right.
And there's a lot to astrology, and sometimes it's hard to understand, but because everything changes and different connections of planets create different scenarios. And there's different kinds. There's all sorts of different types of astrology. Basically, the astrology we use is kind of like, it's where planet Earth is the home base, and the planets circle around planet Earth, and so based on where the planets align towards Earth. Then you have sidereal astrology, which is based on the sun. And then you have star astrology, which is based on where the stars are. There's different ways, and they're all tools. They're all different tools that you can use to get to where you want.
When they refer to Western astrology, does that mean like what we use today?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm
just trying to make that clear.
And like your Vedic astrology, that's basically kind of based on the countries that they're from. Different styles, like Egyptian astrology, they might have different names. Like if you were going to do your sidereal astrology, that would have changed your horoscope sign.
Right.
So it's kind of interesting to view all different ones.
That's another thing when I was reading. Astrology is so much more than just horoscopes. Like it is way
forget the horoscopes.
Beyond it.
Yeah.
But we have simplified it so much over time that is exactly where people's minds go, is strictly to horoscopes, psychics, mediums, spiritually. But we got to remember, whoever had us figured out, they used that in politics way back then. Like I said, it was used for so much. But there's so many questions when it comes to astrology because it is just more than horoscopes. And that's
it's
horoscopes.
huge.
Yeah, horoscopes are fun, but you can learn so. Open the whole book. Just don't read the back.
It's a roadmap, and if you learn to follow the roadmap, you can see. Okay, and it is true. You can see when the best time would be to buy a vehicle. Venus retrograde, don't buy anything. Don't do anything. Don't change your clothes. Don't do your hair.
If anything's in the Gatorade, don't
exactly. Because with Venus retrograde, it blinds you to what really you should be doing. It kind of just, you're like, oh, you're just going to love everything. But by the time Venus retrograde is done, you're going to decide you really hated what you did. It's like Mercury's getting ready to go into a shadow period.
I was just going to ask
and,
what's coming up next.
Yeah, so it's gotten to a shadow period. So like if last week at the beginning of this week, you better hope you had your ducks in a row with anything you had to have organized, because that's what you're going to be playing out for the next, until like the end of November, because the shadow period is when it starts to slow down. Mm-hmm. And retrograde doesn't really mean it goes backwards. It just means it slows down and goes slower.
Okay.
And so, Mercury represents communication, technology. So expect your technology not to work and everything to, your computers to crash. Watch out for traffic, accidents, things like that. And then, so whatever you are dealing with, that's what's going to, be a big focus on your next couple of weeks. That's why I made sure that everything was pre-organized at work, that it's ready to go, because I knew how it's going to go. So if the more I can have it organized, the more I can deal with.
But she's got gremlins that come and do shit.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna stop. Go ahead.
But it's little things like that, like knowing that that's coming up, so planning for it, being able to focus that energy, prepare for it, and then deal with it the best you can.
Right. Got it.
Because Mercury retrograde could be a pain in the ass. It really can. And, another thing, your lunar return, which is like each month the moon lands right where it was when you were born. Figure out your lunar return. That week of your lunar return, whatever happens in that week is going to be your full focus for the next month. That's what's going to impact your life for the next month. So pay attention to that because that's what you're going to deal with.
What's it called?
A lunar return. And I always use AstroSeek. Like, you can pay big money for, astrology programs. AstroSeek has everything you need, and it's completely free. You can run your chart, somebody else's charts. It will show you transits. It gives you all the houses. It gives you all the different kinds of...
Remind you to show me after we're done.
I always have it up on my computer. But it'll show you your lunar return. It'll show you solar returns. Any kind of... Even like little small different kind of maps. And it'll show you when... planets go retrograde. There's not a single person that doesn't have, if you do, it's very rare. There won't be a single person that does not have a retrograde planet in their chart somewhere. And that just means the planets are slowing down. They don't really go backwards. They just slow down. So their energy is a little bit, slower. Sort of like I could tell when Saturn started going direct, the day it hit, it started going direct. Mm-hmm. The day just drug on, and that's because it's a very slow planet.
That
it took about a full week for it to go completely direct. So that would be the day that you saw accidents and things like that, because it finally went direct, and it was a karmic planet. So when it went direct, you weren't doing what you were supposed to be doing. You paid karmically.
I was working.
So yeah, that's when you saw the chaos. That was a chaotic week.
I wonder if that's when we had the coon in the shop for 2 days.
Oh,
it was
probably.
It was so scared, and I went out and I got a live trap because the guys were like, "No," and I'm like, "What?" And they're like, "Well, somebody brought in a pellet gun, was trying to shoot." I was like, "Okay, first of all, you're just gonna piss it off, and why? What's he do to you? Nothing." Like, and then they talk shit all day, try to ruffle my feathers. I'm like, you're not going to kill him. We're going to take him and we're going to let him go. Like, seriously? Because the owner of the company, he's very for, like, recycling, not hurting animals and stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm going to go tell the boss. You will leave him alone.
Right, I'm going to go tell
him. So
you.
they left it to little old me, and I went and got a live trap. We left him cookies and 6 cinnamon rolls. He was probably in a sugar coma when we got there the next morning. But he tore shit up in the shop. But there wasn't nothing we could do. He climbed, like, way up. And I'm like, oh, my God. Well, he looked all big, and then he had all of our labels stuck to him, so he was, like, frantic and everything. He's like, oh. And I'm like, man, that is a tub of raccoon. We come in the next day, and he's, like, just chilling in the live trap. And he's, like, this big. It was just a baby one. He was just puffed up. He didn't hiss or nothing. He was scared. But I was like, oh, he's going to hiss, he's going to bite. And I'm like, no, I grab a hold of that thing. Here, little me. And I got 7, 8 manly men, Well, we're not doing it. Shut up. I'll take him out there and save his little life. Long story short, it was a crazy week.
It was. Yeah.
Anyway, so on that note, let's take a break. We're starting to add breaks into these so you guys can wake up and hear some awesome advertisements in between. We are going to call these breaks wine time. So when we randomly say wine time, that means we will return shortly.
Hey, Mom, can we go get energy work done?
No.
Can we go to a psychic reading?
No.
Mom, can we get Reiki done?
For what? No.
Can we go get crystal therapy?
That sounds delightful, but no.
Can we go get chakra work done?
No.
Mom, come on. Can we go get chakra yoga?
Okay, fine.
Can we get guided meditation?
Oh my gosh. Yes. Because I know just the person to contact to get all those things. Mary from Spiritual Voices. You can contact her at millergirls@hotmail.com or spiritualvoices.godaddysite.com or 269-804-8027. Hello, we're back.
And we're in.
So, moving on from the crazy raccoon story.
That was a good story, though. I don't have a raccoon story.
Doesn't happen.
I do have an animal story.
Oh.
Starting Sunday, we have this cat at the house that just keeps on showing up.
Okay.
And your dad keeps freaking. don't pet it. Don't pet it.
It'll stay. Yeah.
And I'm secretly feeding a chicken.
It's a good thing he doesn't listen.
Well, the one day, it was funny because like I think it was Monday. We come back and he's like, "Did somebody let that cat in the barn?" I'm like, "No." He goes, "The light was on and David was sitting here. We were just sitting talking, and the cat walked out of the barn." I'm like, "Oh." He's like, "And it's in there, and I don't know where it's at.
It's a cat.
I don't want to get it out." So I went and got a piece of chicken, put it outside the door. He's like, "Well, what are you doing?" I said, "I'm putting the chicken outside." "Well, he's not gonna come out. He's gotta smell it." Then all of a sudden the cat comes out. Like, I'll prove you wrong. Yeah. So yeah, and then
hungry.
the other night, it's laying on the steps. It was funny. The funniest thing is, okay, Johnson's like, "Oh, he's laying on the steps," and I look out and he's laying on the steps and he's staring at us. And your dad's sitting back by the barn with his legs crossed in a chair, staring at the cat. Greatest thing ever. I'm like, "Johnson, get away from the door. Don't look at the cat." Whatever you do,
Eye contact.
don't make eye contact.
That is funny.
It's kind of funny.
Don't let him fool you. He likes
He
animals.
does. I said, "Oh, the cat's not hurting anything. He's just outside. We're not going to bring him in." I already told the kids we got Hobby. You know,
Oh, right.
He-
Why not have
he'll
him
try to
for
eat the
an
bird. Yeah,
an
it's not going to hurt
outside cat.
nothing.
You tell Dad because he doesn't like snakes. He'll get the snakes.
That's what I said. I'll get the squirrels, the chipmunks. Just let him
He'll
be.
get the rodents that you don't want.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's wine time again. They need to make bigger bottles. I'm
They
just
do.
saying.
This is
because
ridiculous.
I think we've each had 2 small glasses.
Yeah, just 2.
And it wasn't it?
No, I think it was 3, but they're really small glasses.
They are leftovers
Regular
from the
glasses,
wedding.
you only get like 3 by yourself.
Yeah. That's
It's
true.
ridiculous.
We need to start a winery.
I know. Mm-hmm.
We do. I'm like, we do.
Astrology winery.
Oh,
Look,
we could call it
you
so
can
many
make
different
wine
things.
for like every zodiac.
Could. I'm like, we could. I'm still
Yeah.
thinking about the name. Witch's Winery.
There you go. Hell yeah. Did you know that over in Dora they have New Salem? Look
What's...
up. It's a haunted maze right now. Yeah, seriously, I'm not kidding. It's Witch's New Salem.
You should see the way that I'm looking at her.
Yeah.
It's indoor?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is.
Well, what is it? Like, I don't...
It's like a haunted place, like Cord Maze thing.
But it's like really haunted, not like just
I think-
Halloween time haunted?
I think it's Halloween thing, but I think it's
okay.
like a real thing they've got going there though too. I've heard about it during the summer too, like off and on, but
Yeah.
never really focused on it. And
We'll
we did a
look that
special trip there, so
Oh, you did?
I'm like, oh, it is a
Did
thing.
you go?
Mm-mm.
Oh.
No.
Maybe we should go. This sounds kind of like fun. Maybe take
It
the
would be.
kids or something sometime for Halloween. I at least want to
fun.
take the kids to like a cider mill or something.
Do something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yippers.
You know where I really want to be.
Salem.
Yes. Yes, please. Don't mind if I do. Remind me to tell you a story later. It's about the situation that we talked about beforehand
Oh yeah.
and where I want to go. If I can play it out right, I will get a pity yes that I can go
Yes.
if I word the argument correctly.
That's usually the way it needs to work.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I'm
But-
like, okay. Oh, yeah.
Like
yeah. Back
with
to
astrology, you can go like day to day, or you can even do like a monthly astrology for yourself, kind of see how it plans out, or you can go for a whole year and kind of see how each month is going to go for you, what kind of lessons based on because we have 7-year cycles. Like we've just entered a 7-year cycle. We just entered a 7-year cycle, so I'm pretty sure people saw some kind of ending of some sort. Not like, oh, my day's ending, but a very impactful ending to something that created a new beginning.
Some
within,
type of event in your life.
Yes, like within the last month, we had the timeline shift. So when Saturn went direct, it finally shifted. So whatever choices you made, that's where you were at, and that's why the karma is okay. So that's where it came through, and I've seen a lot of karma play through the last couple of weeks, and karmic debts being paid. I've seen that, or like in my case where I worked hard, I finally got my karmic debt. I got it boosted up.
She did.
And
now, all karma is bad.
No, the karma's going to be good and bad.
If you ever notice that, though, people are like, karma's going to get
because people use it to fear base.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's not
necessarily all bad karma.
When you get a cupcake out of nowhere, that's good karma.
It is. And abundance. Hello.
Yeah.
I love cupcakes.
Me too. I wish we actually had
cream
some.
cheese frosting.
I'm hungry right now.
That sounds delicious.
Somebody bring us a cake. Oh, we're not live.
Oh, shit.
This will be out in 2 weeks.
But there's so many things you can utilize, and just like when you manifest for a full moon, everything that's playing out right now is going to culminate in January. I think January 23rd. That's when Pluto and Saturn go completely conjunct, which means they're going to bounce off each other, their energy, and it's going to create a certain kind of energy that's beneficial. But you have to use the energy correctly. Tap into the energy, know what the energy means for you, and you can create what you want and protect yourself. You're going to see a lot of people losing stuff right now where things get taken from them and they didn't expect it. Where they had no control over it. It just happens type thing. And then some people, if they have certain planets in their signs, they're going to find themselves benefiting from the energy. But it's going to be over the next 6-month pattern. That's how long it takes. When they talk about like manifestation and spell work, that's not necessarily all of a sudden like going to happen right now. It's all about alignment and timing. Now, if you knew where the timing was planetary wise and you planned, something like that because you knew it was going to be the next day, yeah, you're going to manifest that. But it's all about timing. Divine order.
I'm taking all this in. That's what I'm
Divine
doing.
order, what's in your charts, what your like purpose is, what you're supposed to be doing with yourself, what's God's plan for you. It all ties into one. I mean, this is it. This is like your hidden key. Astrology is your hidden key. That missing link. The one thing that's always been missing. Like through my spirituality, I always felt like there was something missing. Like I knew I had my gifts and I knew this is what I believed and I like to meditate, but something was always missing until I really started studying astrology.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden it just made sense. I get it.
You see, so you're saying, okay, the link between, let's say, astrology and spirituality. I know they're connected, but that's where, okay, here's astrology and then we got spiritual down here. It's kind of like it's sprinkling it on.
It's what spins it.
Okay.
It's what spins the energy.
All right. I'm just trying to dumb it down for myself so I completely understand how they link together. Like I know they do, but yeah.
Yeah, and there's always, with certain astrology, you can read, the mythological history, and they have some kind of story about the struggle and why it has that energy, and like Jupiter, he expands for you. So if Jupiter's aligning with something, you want him to be sextile with something, or you want it to be conjunct, and which means sextile and conjunct and trine, those are good aspects. Some are stronger than the other, right. But that you can utilize that energy. Take the aspects from each of that energy and utilize it and channel it and create what you want. No, and sometimes if Mercury is in retrograde, you're not going to be able to channel, having smooth communication. It just isn't going to happen because it rules communication. So when it slows down, so does communication. That's why technology slows down. That's why there's a risk of more crashes and things like that. So you just know to be aware to watch out for that kind of stuff. Like
pay attention.
The last Mercury retrograde, was 4th of July.
I remember that was a huge thing. It was weird.
It was
I've
a weird
never
day.
Noticed it. I've never noticed other people noticing it so much, or
it was a very energetic time.
Yeah.
But when we went up north, we literally almost got into 8 different accidents. Weird accidents.
That's crazy.
And the whole time I was like, damn Mercury retrograde. But it was the truth.
Right.
As soon as it shifted, all that energy stopped. You still had your little things here and there. But that day, that was a chaotic day. Like, I've never had so many close calls and accidents ever. It was nuts. Just nuts.
It's crazy. I probably would have pulled over and just like camped out my vehicle wherever
We almost had semis hitting us in the rear, semis going to the right of us on the shoulder.
Those damn semis, you gotta watch out for them.
Cars going to the right, then swerving back because they tried to go past somebody, but the people were passing because somebody was on the right. And it was a mess. It was crazy.
Oh.
But yeah. And if you pay attention, you kind of start seeing that connection, and it does.
Yeah.
It does, right now Uranus is retrograde.
I was waiting for it. I was like, do I laugh and be the immature one first?
It's okay.
Or?
Because I try all the time, like, I can't say it without laughing ever. Neptune, I think, is in retrograde. Yeah, they're still in retrograde. Uranus is retrograde in Taurus at 5 degrees right now.
So what does that mean when you say Taurus? Because Taurus is my my sign, baby.
The planet is in that sign at this moment, and it's retrograde.
So what does that mean for me? Does that explain everything right now?
Well, I got the chart here. Give me 1 second,
okay,
and I'll pull it up, and then I'll tell you.
Good.
Let's see. It's the 12th.
I don't.
And so, like, the biggest aspect of today is, I do believe, Venus opposes Uranus.
Yeah, she does.
And that, a lot of times when that's going on, it's like, let's see here.
See, can I tell you what I feel is happening? I'm at a calm before the storm.
Yeah. Venus, when a Venus opposes Uranus, this complicates any kind of relationship because the people see relationships literally as a loss of personal freedom and integrity. That's the aspect of the day. And they're mentally unstable, and their feelings constantly change. So they often get involved in a great number of different relationships throughout their life. They're unconventional. They can't think right, and it's like they're just unstable. They feel that energy of the day.
WTF word.
Exactly. See what I'm saying?
Wow.
Yeah. And so
that's why that crap's going on.
Mm-hmm. That's one of it. That's why I said you got to watch how things cycle, because you'll know how to deal with it more. It'll make more sense that way, because people are susceptible to energy, whether they agree or not. They are. Everything is energy. We connect with energy. That's why if people walk into a room and they're angry, we get angry because we absorb their energy.
That's for sure.
If people's in a really good, if a person's in a really good mood and they're joking around, we do that because we absorb their energy.
That's why they say smiling is contagious. Because it is. It is. It's not so much contagious. You're just smiling to be nice. No, you're going to feel their good energy. If they're putting off good vibes, you're going to pick up on that. Mm-hmm. You're not going to want to be a pissed off a-hole while somebody else is just continuously happy.
That's right.
Like, you're going to eventually...
You absorb it.
Yeah.
So, like, Uranus and Taurus, they experience, like, great and sudden changes with, like, in the area of their finances and property. So, like, during this time right now, with everything going on, we're going to, see changes with, our home life, our finances, and trying to break free from what we've traditionally always known, like having this need to be different or have a change of way we're doing things, and having a newness, like, okay, the old way doesn't work, we need to do it a different way. It's time for change. Everything's shifting. We either shift with it, or we end up living another 7 years
the same way
we did before.
So what you're saying is that there's a chance I could win the lottery if I play.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had to throw that in there. I may just stop on the way home and get me a ticket, which means us a ticket. So we will win.
See? There you go.
And we can just do this all day, every day.
Mm-hmm. Live happily ever after.
Just have wine continuously brought into our studio. And
you can have like
it
a
would
wine
be
fountain.
awesome.
Like a fondue fountain.
Yes, we'll put it right here.
And you just have to put our glasses out. And if we get tired of a certain taste, we can push a button and it'll shift it, and then we can have a whole different kind of wine.
It's a genius. And then we have Cabana Boys waving fans on us too.
Yeah.
Okay. Wearing loincloths.
With zodiac signs tattooed on them.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
God, our lives are going to be so
We're
awesome.
gonna be so
once
awesome.
we
Like
hit
every
that.
hour they'll like do a happy dance for us.
I got a
thinking.
visual,
Yeah.
and they're wearing a loincloth, and they're like
Yeah.
going up and down doing this.
It's a happy dance.
Oh
Yeah.
goodness. Anyway,
Oh.
moving on. You can see the spikes.
Yeah.
Good times. See, like I said at the beginning, what makes me sad is that, because this is interesting, we're just talking, like, we're not even, what do I want to say, not even dusting the surface
Yeah, we
when,
really
when it
aren't.
comes to astrology and everything that goes with it. I feel like once you start digging into astrology, it is as big as space is, which is infinity. So it's going to keep going and keep going. Like, you'll never stop learning.
Well, yeah, because they pull in, they pull in asteroids too within astrology, like Chiron. Chiron is he's an asteroid, but the story of Chiron is he's the wounded healer. So he is a lesson of pain. Wherever it is in your chart, it's, and I'm trying to remember correctly his story. I think it's like so I think he killed his father in order to save something else. I'd have to look it up again. But so he's the wounded healer. That's what he carries around with him, that energy. So wherever he is in your chart, that's how he impacts you, whatever house. Because you have houses, you have your zodiac signs, and then you have 12 houses. And they all represent something different. So based on what house they're in is how it affects you. The first house, that's kind of your individual self, how people see you, type thing.
Okay.
I'm trying to think about 2 because I go through so much. 3 is communication. It's all about communication, the way you connect with other people. 4 is all about your home life, and 5 is all about kind of like sort of like how you find joy or having fun. And 6 is all about work. 7's about connections with other people. The 8th house is the house of chaos. And, things that you have no control over. So
Right.
if you were to see somebody with a lot of planets in their 8th house, you would see somebody who's probably going to go through a lot of stuff in their life that they have absolutely no control over.
And they just
Because
gotta
that's-
let it happen
Yep,
and
and
try
that's
to
their
deal with
lesson.
it.
The 9th
Okay.
house is the house of spirituality. 10th house is like your house of like your purpose in life. I guess would be
Okay.
like your job, but your purpose job, like your soul purpose type thing.
Yeah.
And then the 11th house is all about friends and family, social networking. And the 12th house, kind of my understanding, is like a combination of it all. I would have to look it up in general,
That would make
but
sense.
that's
though.
kind of like a little bit of everything.
Now, when you say house, remember, we got to dumb it down for me. So we got the houses, we got your zodiac signs, right?
Yep.
Now, how do they link up? Okay, so what house? Okay, I'm a Taurus. What house am I in right now?
Well,
Is that how that would go?
I would
like,
have
okay,
to-
I'm a Taurus. And
I would
then-
have to run the Taurus right now, just Taurus in general.
Mhm.
Take me 1 second here.
I'm sorry.
No.
I'm just
But,
trying to. I've never heard the term house before. I know the zodiac signs and stuff like
You,
that, but
you have the zodiac signs, and then the chart is cut off into 12 sections. And so where your chart falls in houses is dependent on what time you were born,
okay.
where you were born, and the date you were born. Because it's seasonal. So,
Okay.
if you were born in winter, it's going to fall completely different if you were born in the summer.
Okay,
And then-
but depending on your location.
in your
on our
location. And that's
planet.
why there's different kinds of astrology, because there's different areas.
Okay.
So that's why when an astrologer always wants your date of birth, your not necessarily your name,
Okay.
but where you were born and what time you were born, because that will give you the exact placement. So right now, Taurus is, let's see, today's chart. And then with the program I use, I can go in there and tell them to add houses. So we'll do that.
Okay.
And there's different kinds of housing systems. You have so much.
See, this
to
is so
choose from.
bizarre. I've never
Yeah, it really is fascinating. And then this program too shows you how to run today's chart with your own, so you can compare, and that helps you line up the planets. A lot of times, anything that's significant at that degree. So, I would look at Pluto going direct, and I would see that he's going direct 20 degrees in the 7th house of why can't I see it? Scorpio. Nope. Capricorn. Yeah, Capricorn. And
Shots of Capricorn.
so I would see where that aligns with my chart with 20 degrees. Anything with 20 degrees will have an impact. That's where it's going to impact you energetically, is that 20 degrees, because it's the same. And each degree means something different. It's overwhelming.
Freaking keeps going. I was going to say, yeah, very, very overwhelming. See, okay, I don't know what I am, but how I'm picturing learning like everything there is, because you're never going to learn everything there is about astrology, but it's essentially just like looking up at the stars, and they're never ending.
Exactly.
Right? Like, that would be a visual of me trying to learn astrology.
Now, right now, Uranus retrograde is in Taurus in the 10th house. So if I wanted to know how that was going to impact me, I would look up Uranus retrograde in the 10th house, because then I would know how that affects me for the day.
Interesting. The 10th house, that wasn't something bad. Is that friends?
That one is like our life purpose.
Oh.
So we probably spend the day either doing what we love or, trying to build.
I'm half of it. I have for a little bit so far.
See?
Podcasting is what I love. And I was so excited to be able to come and see Mama Mary.
I know. It's
Because
always nice.
We took a little time off, and it's nice to get back to it.
So,
I enjoy it.
Right now, with that energy, we're going to find that it's concerning matters of the home, of things being, affecting the home. That's what we're going to find.
Ooh, I want a new one.
Tag, not it. But,
game over.
But, it's funny because it goes along exactly what I've been talking about. Uranus and Uranus retrograde and Taurus deals with a lot of past life karma. And so the things we're experiencing right now, because the Uranus retrograde is going to be in Taurus for a while. So the things that we're going through right now are all about past life karma, and we're dealing with things from past lives.
What you're saying, I was a bad witch?
Oh, maybe. Or maybe there's just a lesson you have to learn. Or maybe there's something that needs to be finished off. Sometimes I see situations where you get another chance to do it differently.
The control thing, though. Back in the Salem witch trials, they're trying to control because they're not thinking the same way.
It's fear-based.
Yeah.
When you're afraid, you can try to control it.
Right.
So
that coming
full circle for the past
that
life.
Side, yeah. So I need to put again, what you're telling me is I need to stop on the way home and get another bottle of wine.
You might want to, yeah. But there's definitely a karmic connection between, with that planet. You're everything you're experiencing right now. That planet is in that sign is all about karmic relationships and past life. So you got to take it in that perspective where, what can you learn from it? What stand do you take? What energy do you put in it? And what energy do you feed? And what energy do you not feed? Just like people at work. The people you deal with everyday life, what energy do you feed and what do you not feed? So if you ignore the energy, you're not feeding it anymore. It can't grow.
Right.
So it's sort of like that.
So that's essentially what I've done. Well, we just haven't, I guess, faced it, but just because I'm trying to figure out how, because I do want to change. It's the first time I've ever been like this, really. That's why I got married to him. Is because I want to do things differently than in the past. So I am being cautious and whatnot. Some people may not think so, but I'm trying to because this was anybody else, then I was, I would leave or not try to change anything or help. I don't know. It makes sense in my head, like I always say, but trying to say it differently. But I am trying to go about it so we can fix it.
Yes.
Right now.
Changing the pattern.
I don't want to keep ignoring it because, well, we can't because it's not going to work.
No.
But I do. I've gotten the courage to take things head on. I'm just trying to figure out the best way. Yeah, the best way to do it. Not so I necessarily don't lose, because sometimes you do just kind of lose a battle, but I don't know. So I make sure I learn. I want to learn my lesson. I don't want to have to go through this again, whether it be in this lifetime or another lifetime. I want to go on to something different, bigger and better, a different lesson. It gets lame.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Doing the same thing over.
Keep building it up. Like the second house, that's all about our possessions, how we work for our possessions, and how we value our possessions. Okay. So how easily the money comes in and things like that. And then I want the for sure one of the 12th house. But when you gain an understanding, even gaining a basic understanding of the houses and what they mean and what the planets mean and what each sign means, even if it's just the basic one word basics, because they go much deeper. But get a basic understanding of that, and there's your astrology. You can
I'm clicking my pen because I'm writing down this house thing, and I think you listeners should too if you don't know. I'm mind blown right now.
well, because it's mind blowing, because when you can pull it up, and since you're a Taurus, when you pull that up and see how much it impacts you, you're like, oh, wait a minute. I get it.
All okay.
That makes sense. Because then, once it makes sense, you kind of know how to deal with it just a little bit differently.
Okay.
Versus just
going WTF.
Just
Mom, what's going on?
3-dimensional. You're taking it to a 5th or 6th dimension of a higher vibration of, you're taking it to the 5th dimension, love.
Okay.
Well, how can you do it from this vibration versus reacting from this vibration?
And that's exactly what I want to do, because clearly in past lives and this one, I keep doing this one. Yeah. And I want to do this one.
Yeah, and that's how you do it.
And that's, I think, why the universe gave me Mama Mary. And I give her to all of you in a non-creepy way.
It's like 12th house. Like I said, I still feel like it's a combination of it all. It rules death and new beginnings and transformation. So, if you have planets, you have planets in your 12th house, whatever those planets rule, you're going to find death and transformation in those areas. So, like, Saturn's a workaholic. You work. If you're not doing the work, then you're gonna get punished for it, so to speak.
Okay.
But if you're doing the work, you're going to get rewarded. And so, let's say Saturn's in your 12th house, and you have I want to say Jupiter, because Jupiter expands. But if you have,
I wish you would have said Uranus expands, because that would have been funny.
But let's say you have the house, let's say you have Mercury in your 6th house, which rules your work.
Okay.
So maybe with Saturn in the 12th house, which is death, rebirth, and transformation, and Mercury in your 6th house, you find yourself in a lifetime of constantly losing your job because you can't keep your mouth shut. You see where we find that connection? Those little aspects together. Maybe they're opposing each other, and sort of like that. Because, and we won't go very deep, but you have cardinal signs, you got your air signs. They all have different meanings and different way of using them, and fire signs. And
so, guys, I'm going to be learning for a long
You have your sun, moon, and rising sign. Figure out what your rising sign is, because that's how people see you, and that's your real emotional truth. Your sun sign really doesn't define you. It's how you carry out action. That's what your sun sign is. It's just how you carry out your actions. And then your moon sign, that's your hidden truths. That's kind of like the real you that you don't show everybody. Like, I'm a Capricorn. That's why I'm very organized. And sometimes I seem cold when I meet people, where I'm kind of staying back and I seem cold. I'm not really
You're a
cold.
Capricorn?
My moon sign is.
What?
I'm an Aries.
Okay.
And then my rising sign is Aquarius, which makes sense because
I don't understand what you're saying to me because all I know is a Taurus. I'm a Taurus because of my birthday.
What you need to do is go research your rising sign and put in your date of birth, where you were born, and the time of birth, and it'll show you your sun, moon, and rising sign. And those are really important. Moon,
and rising
because
sign.
if you're doing astrology, if you want to know where your placements really are, what you really want to do is go by your rising sign. So when I listen to like astrologers talk about Capricorn energy, I kind of focus, not Capricorn. I listen to that because we're talking a lot about Capricorn energy right now. But my rising sign, because that's your emotional truth. Okay. That's where astrology a lot of times is going to impact you the most. So you got to figure that out, and also look where the sun's affecting you, planetary wise, but also look at it from your rising sign too, because that's where it's going to affect you the most. It is where it'll impact you the most. There's a lot to astrology. It's not just
so much. I
dry.
think we will at another date clearly touch back on this because we can do what we want because it's our podcast, and maybe ever so often reach or discuss a different
another piece of it,
level of it, or
that's
whatever.
That's the best way to do it, really, because there's just so much.
Is.
That's just a cut and dry. But
if you guys could see my face right now, I'm just like, what?
It really is fascinating, and the more you learn about it, and the more you utilize it. I think what kind of woke me up to that was probably like a year and a half ago. I watched a YouTube video, and I was like, oh, and what he did was he went through every day of the month and basically said what to watch out for. I thought that was pretty cool, because I like to write out my own meditations, so I would try to do that. And then the one day he said to watch out for your computers, and when I went to work, everything crashed. And I came home and I had forgotten that. And I picked up and looked at it. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So I started paying more and more attention. And every day there was something to that effect. Okay. Maybe not completely. Right. But if I didn't see it in myself, I saw it with somebody else.
Right.
Because sometimes based on where the planets align in your chart.
The information that you have, keep it broad and kind of looking from outside of the box completely.
Yeah.
And be like, okay, yeah. Where it lined up. Did it get darker in here?
It did.
Interesting, because we have been hearing noises. And Mama Mary and I are the only ones here in the studio right now. So that's fun.
Yeah.
That's fun. I have all the equipment out in the car from yesterday's investigation. With that being said, let's... Wait, what time is it?
Wine time.
Wine time. Enjoy your commercial.
Mom, you got me the wrong skincare products. I only go through Mary Kay with Markel on Facebook and order through her.
I'm so sorry, I didn't realize that there was a difference.
Yes, there is a difference. When I order through Markel, I get great quality products and choices. You should go through her too, Mom.
Okay, let's go check out Mary Kay with Markel on the Facebook. Okay, and we are back. Okay, so like I said before the commercial, clearly I was unaware of a lot of shit. There's a lot to take in with this.
Especially with Uranus.
Zing.
Sorry, Uranus. Don't punish me for that later.
Sorry. Yeah. And wow, I know I want to learn more. And if there is something in astrology is such a broad term. And I've learned that even just from looking, from what I looked at shortly versus what you just, my head with. There's so much. So, listeners, if there is something in astrology that you kind of want to know more about or you want to ask Mary about, email us. Because, we love receiving emails and answering back. Yeah. Astrology is not just stars.
Horoscopes.
and horoscopes. Yeah, that yes. That was another thing. I was like, back in the day when they put all that together and they, the astrology helped make calendars and stuff. So when you're looking at your monthly calendar, where do you think that came from? So this is what kind of made me angry. Not angry, but I was like a little sour about it, because then came along science one day. Just one day. Yep. Here's science. I'm science. I know everything. And then there's nothing past science. No, there's a shit ton past science. I'm not knocking science because I truly, full-heartedly believe in science.
Well, it's good to have evidence and facts. It is.
Exactly. But there's science and then there's the other. Like, that's just it. Because you're not going to sit here and tell me no because you can't prove it or not prove it.
That's right.
It's you. I think us as humans, we stop at science because it's proven to us. So we have our ultimate answer, maybe. Mm-hmm. But then there's all that stuff in between. Kind of like your math answers at school when your teacher says you got it wrong, even though you got the right final answer. It was your stuff in between you got wrong.
That's right.
There's just more. There's more. Don't stop at just science. Especially when, look at all that awesome shit there is about astrology out there. Even if you don't believe in it, it was fun. It was fun to listen. It was fun to learn. Why not learn?
That's right.
I think it's great. And I think it just really sucks, then came along science methods. And by the end of the 19th century, it was known as a pseudoscience, which it means a belief that is incorrectly presented by science. Like, see, boo.
Uh-huh. Yep.
You found reasoning for some of the things, okay? So then these people, the things that they couldn't find the reasoning past that, they're like, oh, doesn't exist because we couldn't find the reasoning.
But how does the moon affect the tides? Mm-hmm. Oh, that's kind of fascinating how that all works.
There's always but the why, like your toddler always asks you, but why? But why? You can ask but why to every single, and you keep going, and you think you're at the end. Why is blue?
No, exactly.
Well, because yellow went with green.
How do we get the alphabet? Who created the alphabet?
Yeah,
how did it get there? Who told us to put it there?
Right. Who put the stars there? Why do we call it astrology?
Yeah.
Like, why ask why? Hence paranormal. And here we are. Because we will have never-ending topics.
That's true. That's true.
Let alone just from this one main topic that just could go on forever.
Yeah, it definitely can.
I'm excited to talk about it again. We will make this a thing, I think. For sure. When there's like something cool going on or another planet that finds itself in freaking Gatorade again and Uranus needs a bath in Gatorade and then there's always Mars.
Uranus needs expansion.
Yeah. Rings around Saturn. Right? Not the right
one? Yeah.
I'm like, right? Whoa. So, okay, guys. Next week's episode will be our Halloween special. So I am pretty excited about that. Now, I'm not going to make you guys wait until next week. We are going to discuss Ouija boards just because, fun, scary, Not that Mary and I, we're not fans. I know I'm not. Mm-mm. And I'm fairly certain you're not.
No.
Whether they truly do what we think they do, we don't know. But why not be safe?
Just talk about it, yeah.
And we'll get into the history of it. They just made the world's largest. That they presented that. We actually got to see that up in Paracon.
That's
pieces
cool.
of it. We went to when they spoke about it at the speaking room. But yeah, I mean, I think it is fascinating in the amount of movies that are made around them.
Oh yeah,
and just the stories in general. I think it's fascinating that it's actually, essentially it's a game board.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, you can't do shit, not shit, before you're like 21. Or you, well, 18, you can go fight for your country, but you can summon a demon at the age of, like, I think 8. I think it's like 8 to 99. You know, because they made it an actual board game, which was...
inside kid stores.
Why? I don't understand. Like, no,
it's crazy.
Nobody takes offense to that.
I know, isn't that weird? Because it's always been the norm.
But you will take offense to, like, my kid wearing pink? Like...
Yeah.
You know? Like, I don't know. That's a whole nother different... Sorry, I will ramble. That's just ridiculous. But, yeah, we're going to touch on the Ouija board, history, how it's used, maybe some of our own stories.
Yeah.
Of how we... I mean, I was little when I only ever done it once because it did scare me. And I watched the movies. I did research it growing up just because it was like, I don't know, I just got a weird vibe from it. Yeah. But it's something a little scary. It is scary. I think that part of paranormal is scary. It's supposed to be. That's what intrigues people.
Oh, yeah, really. That's true.
So if you have a story about anything Ouija board, let us know. We want to hear it. We'll read it. It'll be a good time.
No,
we will not play with one, though.
No.
No, we will talk about them. We'll post pictures of them, but I don't want to play with one.
No.
We'll leave that to the professionals. Anyway, so we'll get more into that next time. So, anything else you want to add to the astrology thing, or Uranus? Or
I do not want to add nothing to my Uranus.
I love us. And then, okay, so yesterday, the crew and I, we did an investigation in Woodland. It was pretty awesome. A really interesting place with a crap ton of history. At very minimum, that intrigued me. Because it's been there, a small country farm town in Michigan. But we will have a reveal party, Paraween is what we're calling it. Paraween with parnormalxl on November 2nd. So if you are around in the area, that would be fabulous for you to come. Just get on the Facebook. You'll find the information on that. Or you can email us with questions. And then also head over to our official webpage. Josh and Julie made it for us for our wedding. Our wedding present. Okay. Mine and Sean's wedding present, which is AKA just me, because it was just for me. Well, it's parnormalxl.com. They did a great job on it, and that was phenomenal. I've been wanting to do that, just haven't found the time. So if you get a chance, check it out. Give a shout out to Josh and Julie of the crew, because they did a great job. So I keep telling you, write us your stories, questions about astrology, Ouija boards, demons. ZB say what have you, paranormalxl at writeme.com. Also, if you know of any locations that could use an investigation, reach out to us, either on the Facebook Messenger, the email I just gave you. Thanks again for tuning into Paranormal XL Podcast. We appreciate you all, and remember, don't yuck someone else's yum.
Ever.